Hello guys, how are you? Well, today we're gonna start our second topic, our second session, and as you can see, it's about verb types. Before getting started, we need to pay attention to three concepts. The first one is form, it's what the parts of speech are, and the second one is function, what the parts of speech do. I'm gonna give you one part of speech that is Omar Torrijos. Omar Torrijos is a proper noun. The form is noun, right? But if we place Omar Torrijos in a phrase, for example, Omar Torrijos Stadium, Omar Torrijos is no longer functioning as a noun, it's functioning as an adjective. And that's why we need to pay attention that some parts of speech, the form is one, but probably the function might change. The third concept is constituent. A constituent is word or a group of words that functions as a unit. And I need you guys to remember these important concepts. Constituent. All right, let's get started. As I said before, the types of verbs are this one. So we can see that the first one is intransitive verb, and it will be represented by the letters VI. Okay. Number two is linking verbs, represented by the letters VL. Number three, one plain transitive verb, and it represented by the letters VT. And the two place transitive VG verbs, it is represented by the letters VG. The two place transitive VC verbs are represented by the letters VC. And the last one, be verbs, that is represented by the word be. And it's really interesting because you guys will see why these G and C for 4 and 5 types are in lowercase. Firstly, if we pay attention here, the intransitive verbs, that is, as I said before, is represented by the letter VI. There are some characteristics that they have. The first one is followed by no constituents. Remember that I told you before that a constituent is a word or a group of words. And it's intransitive because the word intransitive means that it doesn't refer or doesn't transfer to the action to any object, not direct object nor indirect object. And actually, they can end sentences. Let's pay attention to the first two examples. The teacher spoke. If you pay attention, the verb spoke immediately makes sense in the sentence because it doesn't require anything else to make sense. However, you can add something else. For example, if you pay attention to the second example, my mother writes. My mother writes perfectly. We have here an adverb. So it doesn't mean that after this verb we cannot put any parts of speech. Actually, we can, but without that part of speech, the sentence still has sense. Okay. So in this case, we have an adverb that is perfectly. Some VI's verbs are followed by prepositional phrases, and here we need to pay attention that prepositional phrases will be represented by the two letters PP, both in lower cases, functioning as an adverb. So maybe you are wondering, prepositional phrases, adverb phrases, I don't understand. Well, let's pay attention to the example. The Titanic sank in 1912. And the second one, Daddy traveled around the world. So in here, we can see that if we have the Titanic sank, it makes sense. Daddy traveled, that also makes sense. But we are adding the prepositional phrase in 1912 and around the world, but at the same time, the form of this is prepositional phrase, but the function of them is adverb of place. Okay, adverb of place in around the world and adverb of time in 1912. So this is the first example. Okay, so in here we can see all the aspects here. Very good. So we're going to explore the second one, that is linking verbs. So it is very important not to pay attention to these types and also the verb to be. What I mean is that linking verbs and the verb to be are somehow related, but not completely. I'm gonna tell you why. So linking verbs will be represented by the letters VL, and they link the subject to a noun phrase. So I can give you one example. For in here it says the man became my friend. So if you pay attention, we have the noun phrase. It's important to know that the word, or sorry, the concept noun phrase will be represented by the letters NP. Okay? And the adjective phrase will be represented by I and also phrase, adjective phrase. Okay? If a noun phrase that is represented NP, the noun phrase refers to the subject. In here we can see the noun phrase is the subject. In here we have the linking verb and also the end phrase. That is another end phrase, but it's basically the predicate noun. Why? Because the man became my friend. That friend, my friend, is referring to the man anyway. In the second example, Carlos became a teacher. A teacher refers to Carlos one more time. So in here, the way linking verbs join the subject plus one characteristic or something related or that is associated with the subject. In the second example, sorry, in the second point, it is an adjective phrase. The adjective phrase describes the object. The pie tastes delicious. Of course, delicious is telling you one characteristic of the pie. The same thing happens in the second example. Darty looks beautiful. So if you pay attention, we have end phrase functioning as the subject, VL, that is the linking verb, and also we have the adjective phrase. This is an adjective, but it's also an adjective phrase, and it's functioning, the predicate adjective. So every time that you see this column, means that in the left side we have the form, and in the right side we have the function. Okay? Let's continue with one place transitive verbs. So it is represented by the letter VT. And it's transitive because it's followed by a noun phrase called direct object. Okay? And we are going to pay attention what a direct object is. So transitive means it transfers the action to an object. As I said before, that object will be a direct object, and that direct object is still a noun phrase. Okay? So let's see the first example. The boy, that is the noun phrase, functioning as the subject, writes. That is the transitive verbs. The transitive verb, the letter. So the letter is a noun phrase. But if you pay attention, as I said before, we have the colon. And right in the right position, we can find the function of that noun phrase. That is the direct object. In the second one, we have my brother, noun phrase, functioning as a subject, watches the transitive verb, the television. So that's a noun phrase functioning as the direct object. Very good. Transitive verbs can be usually turned into passive voice. So a good way or a tip that I can give you about identifying transitive verb or one place transitive verb is changing the active voice into a passive voice. In here we can see the boy writes the letter, but I can change it into the letter is written by the boy. Immediately you know that this is a one place transitive verb. The second one, my brother watches the television. The television is watched by my brother. You see? Of course, the analysis of these new sentences might be different, but at least it tells you how to identify if it is one place transitive verb. Okay, let's move on to the two place transitive VG verbs. And it's really important that you guys pay attention to this part because If you see some characteristics of them is followed by two noun phrases, one indirect object and one direct object. And I can give you one example. The first one, the man, that is a noun phrase functioning as the subject. The VG verbs, it's important to understand that the reason why these kinds of verb or these types of verbs are called VG is because that V means verbs and G means give. Okay, because most of the time we can relate these types of verbs to one verb that is give. Okay, so in here, the man gave his girlfriend the flowers. If you pay attention, in here we have the noun phrase and another noun phrase. However, they are not functioning similar because his girlfriend is a noun phrase but functioning as an indirect object. However, the flowers is a noun phrase but functioning as the direct object. So I can say the man give the flowers. So the flowers is the direct object. But we need to know who who this man give the flowers to. So in this case, I would say his girlfriend. Okay? Followed by a noun phrase and a prepositional phrase. In here, you need to pay attention that sometimes it changes a little bit. And I'm gonna give you the same example. The man gave the flowers. So this time flowers, that is the red object, is right after the VG verb. So to his girlfriend. So when we switch the position, instead of having the direct object at the end, we have it right after the VG verb. So immediately we need to put the preposition to. Okay, so that's why even though it had the preposition to, it's a prepositional phrase. That's the form, but its function is adverb of reception. Basically, who receives the action or who receives the object. In this case, the direct object, his girlfriend. So let's see the next one. The girl bought a chocolate for her sister. So in here the same. The girl is the noun phrase functioning as the subject. VG is the verb, and we have a noun phrase that is the direct object, but we have a prepositional phrase. What is a prepositional phrase? Basically, it's a phrase that starts with a preposition. This case is for, and this case is to. For her sister. So it's a prepositional phrase, that's the form, but its function is an adverb of reception. Basically, who receives the direct object. Let's continue with two-place transitive VC verbs. So VC stands for V for verbs and also C for consider. And the reason why is because this situation happens mostly when we have the verb consider in the sentence. But there are some other verbs that can have the same situation and they will consider VC verbs. And the first characteristic is that followed by noun phrases NP, direct object, and then by a noun phrase, not indirect object. One example that I can give you is right here. Itself, that is a noun phrase functioning as the subject. Consider, that is the VC. This person, that is the noun phrase functioning as the direct object, so far is related to the previous one, that is the VG. But what makes the difference? This is a noun phrase, but it's not functioning as an indirect object. Got it? It's a noun phrase, but if you pay attention, her friend basically is an object complement. So it gives you more details about this person, that is her friend. Okay. An adjective phrase, for example, if we pay attention here, the ice cream, that is the noun phrase functioning as the subject, makes VC verb. People, that is the direct object, the noun phrase functioning as the direct object. Happy, that is an adjective phrase. And if you pay attention, adjective, this adjective happy tells you more details about the ice cream. Basically, it's a subject complement. And the last one that is an infinitive phrase. In here we have the verb to one more time, but this time to is not a preposition, it's part of the infinitive form. So the teacher, that is the noun phrase functioning as the subject, wanted, that is the VC verb, the students, that is the noun phrase, or functioning as the direct object, to practice, that is the infinitive phrase. Okay, got it? Very good. And the last type is the verb be. So verb be, for some people are considered a linking verb, and somehow it's a linking verb. However, we need to pay attention to, for the verb be, there are three cases to identify it. The first one is if it is followed by a noun phrase. For example, the man is my friend. So in here we have the noun, that is the noun phrase is functioning as the subject, the it is, that is the verb be, and my friend, that is the noun phrase, that is the predicate noun. The basically in here, my friend is referring to the man, similar to the other linking verbs so far. Carlos was a teacher. So same here. It's a noun phrase functioning as the subject. Was, that is be, in this case past, and a teacher, that is the noun phrase functioning as a predicate noun. And if you pay attention, the same, a teacher refers to Carlos. The second example, so far with the number two, the point number two, it's similar to the linking verbs. Okay, so the pie is delicious. Same here. We have an adjective phrase basically that is giving a description of the pie. Same here with birds are beautiful. So beautiful refers to the birds. But so in the second point, I'm sorry, the third point is what makes the difference between linking verbs and the verb be. A prepositional phrase that functions as an adverb of place. It's really important to understand that even though every time that you see a prepositional phrase, you can say that it's a prepositional phrase, but they mostly function as an adverb, maybe adverb of time, maybe adverb of uh, reception, manner, instrument, and many others. The book is on the table. You see, so the book is the noun phrase functioning as the subject, is it the verb be, and on the table is a prepositional phrase functioning as an adverb of place. Same here. I am in my house. So same here. It's a prepositional phrase functioning as an adverb of place. Okay, so basically this is what we got here. These are the types of verbs. And please, if you have any other questions, or if you want to expand your reading, your understanding of the verb types, it's really good that you go to Doing Grammar, the fifth edition. This book belongs to Morenberg, Max Morenberg. It's really interesting, and actually, you already have this book on your on the platform, so you can go ahead and check out. It's the second chapter, and actually, that's for you guys to understand many other things, guys. If you have got until here, if you already listened to me until here, I need to tell you guys that you have homework, and that assignment is related to identifying verb types. Okay, so guys, thank you so much for being here, and I'll see you next class.